Tatsuro Taira dominates Hyunsum Park. We have two banger co-main and featured fights, and a couple other really fun ones. So let's get straight into it. Let's start with the main event, and let's go over rather every single fight on this card. Starting with the main event, Hyunsum Park versus Tatsuro Taira. Obviously Tatsuro Taira won. It was very easy, man. He immediately was getting takedowns. He knocked him down within the first minute. I believe it was the first minute. Man, I saw stuff on Twitter where people were talking about how, oh man, Park in this spot at plus 270. This is a dangerous guy here. Like he's got the killer instinct, dude. The killer instinct got him immediately double legged in both rounds. He had nothing for Tatsuro Taira. So I don't get why we try and be super nerdy and hardcore about these types of matchups. I guarantee you next week people are going to pick O'Day Osborne to beat Steve Ercek. I guarantee you that's going to be on Twitter. Man, people forget what O'Day Osborne can do. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. But yeah, you can't out aura farm. This is a small autistic guy. Again, I'm not going to do an impression because that feels racially insensitive for the moment. So, um, yeah, Tatsuro Taira was a great win. It really was. I'd love to see him versus Brandon Moreno next, title eliminator. And I think that's pretty competitive. But, with how good his grappling is, he can get very far because it's so much better than what anyone else has to offer that he can kind of outweigh whatever your grappling level is. So I'll be interested to see that. Hyunsum Park, get ready to learn Apex prelims, buddy. Nobody knew who Hyunsum Park was before, and I have no clue why people were saying Park by however he chooses. You know? That pisses me off when I see that gaslighting, and it's why I picked Taira to win. Other than the fact that he was just way better than Park, but is what it is. Next up, the co-main event of the evening. Chris Duncan versus Mateusz Robetski. Unbelievable fight to watch. One of the fights of the year in 2025. Dude, it's just like with Mateusz Robetski and Chris Duncan, these are two guys that cannot be killed. That's what makes it such a fun fight. Because Chris Duncan is like these Scottish, like warrior type of genes where he's just gonna go. He got dropped in like the first 40 seconds of the fight. I was thinking, oh holy shit, like Robetski's gonna fraud his way to a 1-2 kind of fucking knockdown and he's gonna submit him or something. But Chris Duncan bounced back, landed hard shots, bloodied up Robetski in the first round already over the eye. In my opinion, I gave Robetski the first round. I don't know how a judge gave round one to Chris Duncan. He got knocked down and kind of outstruck in moments. But a really fun first round. You would not have known how good it would have become, though, after the first round. Round two was an incredible round, where they're just going back and forth. Chris Duncan, I believe this is the second round. Chris Duncan, at one point, when Robetski's already all bloodied up, lands a flush head kick. Like, no defense at all from Robetski on this shot. Flush on the chin, and Robetski eats it. I don't know what Mateusz Robetski is made of. It's a miracle that Carlos Diego Fea stopped him at the very end of their fight. It's why Orobai couldn't finish him at the end of their fight. Like, this guy is unkillable. He literally is just Marvin Vettori maxing. Like, he's just throwing 1-2s down the middle for 15 minutes. He does like a little jump in with the 1 and the 2. Very Marvin Vettori-esque. It was unbelievable. The third round was also incredible. Chris Duncan got cut open late in the round under his eye. And just a fun fight to watch. It would have been way better if it was not in the Apex, but it was a really fun fight. Even the Apex was on their feet cheering, so I was so happy we actually got to get a fight like this where on a card where the prelims were the ones that weren't as good, to have the main card be as fun as it ended up being was pretty amazing. So congrats to Chris Duncan. I don't know what you do with him next. Probably a ranked guy. Maybe you do him versus Fares Ziam or him versus Mike Davis, something like that. Maybe a guy that doesn't want to be ranked yet or is right outside the rankings. I believe Mike Davis is 55. I will say that Chris Duncan is on his way to a ranking, and Chris Duncan does nothing in the octagon. There's nothing that Chris Duncan is that good at. He just kind of knows how to throw a body kick. He's got some nasty knees and elbows, but they don't look that powerful. He's not super fast or powerful or proficient anywhere in his game. It's not like he mixes in wrestling really well. So I don't really know what he does, but that's kind of the method in 2025 to win fights. So congrats to Chris Duncan. You're getting the DJ Khaled comps. For Robetski, I don't know, man. I don't know, because he's taken like life-altering damage in 3 straight fights. He's 32. I'd like to see him get kind of a prospect next, see if he can put him away, maybe not even a top-level prospect at 55. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody. Maybe do like him versus like Grant Dawson or something. I'm not sure if Grant Dawson's ranked or not, but maybe that. Maybe like I don't know. Give him a prospect though. Let's not do like a guy that's right up there near the ranking. So, congrats to Duncan. Esteban Reba versus Elvis Brener. In my opinion, listen, man, I am fully happy with the 2 fight of the night bonuses given out. I think they both deserved it. If I had to pick one, Reba and Brener was the fight of the night, because Reba in Elvis Brener for 3 straight rounds threw punches with 150% effort. Like, tried to kill each other every single time they threw a punch. They were fast every time they threw a punch, and they all hurt each other. Reba, genuinely, the entire fight, this guy's so fast, throwing nasty boxing combos, mixing it up to the body, to the head. He threw leg kicks hard. He put on a masterclass, dude, on Elvis Brener. I will say that the commentary was a little weird with Elvis Brener, where he would land one shot and be like, oh, he's turning the tide. Stupid fucking Dominic Cruz. Don't get me started on him. But Reba is so good, man. Like, defended every single takedown, nasty combos, great chin. I have no clue how Nasrat Haqparast beat him in their fight, because he's way better than Nasrat Haqparast, skill for skill. His only issue is that he does not move his head a lot. I think it's something he needs to work on, is his head movement. Even just basic side to sides will get him out of the way of a lot of the shots that he eats. It's why someone with a good jab like Nasrat Haqparast can beat him in a close fight. So that's something, but dude, he's so skilled. Brenner's so tough. Watch that fight back if you didn't see it or you just didn't want to watch the card. Elvis Brener ate 1 billion strikes, like just clean on his chin, nasty, full power, everything in them, and he didn't go down. I think it's a testament to how good Joel Alvarez is to be able to finish him, because he broke down Elvis Brener in their fight. So, big win for Reba. I do want to talk about this, though. Michael Bisping. There was genuinely a point in the 3rd round of the fight where Michael Bisping has the gall to utter the sentence, man, he kind of fights like prime Tony Ferguson. You know, with the pressure and the ways, this isn't a Michael Bisping impression, but with the pressure and, you know, the way he's using the boxing and his toughness, he looks like prime Tony out there. And it's one of the most outrageous sentences that a human being has ever uttered in their life. That Esteban Reba is fighting like prime Tony. Now, I get it, man. Prime Tony did fight with his toughness. That's why his career fell apart near the end, because his chin went and he wasn't as tough anymore. But it's not how Reba fights. Tony never had the boxing that Reba has, and Reba doesn't have the elbows or ground game that Tony has. So, Michael Bisping has no clue what he's talking about. Disgrace. Dominic Cruz also disgrace. It is what it is. But unbelievable win for Reba. Let's keep it moving. Kirohosa Norconoli. Now, guys, I have a confession to make on this channel. We are transparent here. Did not watch this fight. I tried to hardcore it out. I really did try. I watched the first round, and when I realized that I didn't have any money on this fight, I packed it in, and I turned it off. I saw that Rosa won. I believe that she was doing a lot of her work on the feet and on the ground, which is where all fights end up having their work done. I'm just hoping that both girls had fun. And yeah, if you wanted a detailed breakdown, I'm sure that like Bedtime or MMA Guru have actual breakdowns of it. Let's keep it moving. Neil Magny versus EZDS. We all prayed for a time like this. 2025, and Neil Magny has won another fight. Unbelievable. This 97-year-old New York City diner is still serving their Coke the old-fashioned way. I don't know how Neil Magny keeps doing it. I do not understand it. He lost the entire first round. He lost half of the second round, and then randomly just locks in, gets his little fucking back take, and just ground and pounds his way to a victory exactly the same way he did versus Mike Malott. Every single one of you watching this video manifested a Neil Magny fraud check. I don't know how he keeps doing this. I almost cried tears of joy when Neil Magny won. It was unbelievable. I know every single one of us watching was all like, we were like, you know those TikToks where it's like when Braun yamming on someone, so I just punched the shit out of my girl. We all punched the shit out of the nearest person when Neil Magny won. Neil Magny winning was so inspirational. I personally went into a gas station and I punched the shit out of the cashier. We all knocked somebody out in honor of Neil Magny winning a fight in 2025. I'm so grateful for it. Just an unbelievable win for the kid. And amazing, man. EZDS was winning. He's not that good. I don't know how he finished Sean Strickland, but we'll keep it moving, man. Neil Magny, feed this guy a random. Feed him Joel Alvarez at 170. That's who you feed him. Kevin Valos versus Danny Silva. I believe this was the final fight of the main card. It was a really good fight, man. It was the fight of the night. Prior to those two co-main and feature fights. I can't speak English. Listen, man. Danny Silva genuinely for 3 rounds straight just kind of tried to aura farm and look cool. Like he didn't do anything. He barely landed shots. He didn't shoot takedowns really. He didn't land anything clean. He got boxed up in the pocket for 15 straight minutes. And then every time he's like, "Oh, you're landing shots now. Oh, that was a good shot, kid." You know, like, what the fuck are you doing? You're a prospect. You've won your first 2 fights in the UFC. And you're sitting there trying to be like a fucking... This guy, Danny Silva, was like the kid at like school lunch who would put weird combinations of food together into a drink. And he like wait until all the girls were around and then he'd drink it. And he'd try and act like that shit wasn't disgusting. You know, that's what Danny Silva was doing out there. Making just gross combos of food and fucking eating them, man. So, shout out to Kevin Vallejos. He won this pretty easy. Silva is durable. He had a lot of clean shots from Vallejos that would have finished other people. In terms of what's next for Kevin Vallejos, at 155, if Grant Dawson is ranked, I think that's a good matchup to make, really test the grappling defense. Otherwise, maybe you do like winner of Edson Barboza and Drakkar Close, or Hooper versus Hernandez. I like to see him get a guy right on the edge of those rankings so he can just slide in at 15 or 14. Off the top of my head, I don't know who those two are at 15 and 14. I think it's Dawson and someone else, so congrats to Kevin Vallejos on a great win. Danny Silva, Apex, brother. Let's keep it moving. Rinya Nakamura versus Nathan Fletcher. I did pick Nakamura. I think a lot of people were on the Fletcher side, and I wanted to be on the Fletcher side badly. But also, if you're not going to KO Nakamura, I kind of think that you'd have to get him down, and I don't think that's happening. So, Nakamura did win. This fucking guy lost to Muin Gafarov, just the hairiest, strangest looking guy in the world. And then immediately toe punts Nathan Fletcher and finishes him in a minute. Of course, I had Rinya Nakamura by decision. We all had that in our parlays. Listen, man, it's time to admit the truth. Rinya Nakamura is involved with the Yakuza. He's deeply entrenched in Japanese gambling. It's unbelievable how much gambling he's doing. I heard that they made over $1 million on this fight. We're calling those Money Manziel sources. Please don't chop my hand off. But yeah, Rinya Nakamura, he won this fight easy. There's nothing to break down. Nathan Fletcher's dog shit. Probably not UFC level. Good win for Rinya Nakamura, though. Next up, Rodolfo Vieira versus Tresean Gore. I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence. Rodolfo Vieira outstruck Tresean Gore across 3 rounds in a fight. He just kind of threw a jab, like a jab up top and a jab to the body for 12 of those minutes, and then he mixed up a couple of overhand rights, a couple of hooks that were actually hurting Tresean Gore in the end of the fight. This guy's who Bilal Muhammad wishes he was. He's really got the Canelo hands. Tresean Gore, man, I don't know what this guy does other than have like a crazy, nasty guillotine. I think that's all he practices, because how do you lose a sparring match to Rodolfo Vieira on the feet? I have no clue. Yeah, man, I'm not going to say that Tresean Gore fights like he has Down syndrome. I really did debate whether to show a picture of a Down syndrome person, because Tresean Gore, he's got it. He does. I think he's got a little DS, if you know what I'm talking about. He's I think Trishan Gore's got some DS in the system. Either way, quickly moving on. Nick Klein versus Andrei Puliev. Plus 125 versus minus 150 seems like crazy odds looking back. Puliev beat him down. Klein had moments early, but this guy quit, man. He got hit with a nasty body kick. Puliev is a great kickboxer. I knew that coming in. I don't know why I didn't pick him. I think that was just kind of trying to aura farm a little bit, to be honest with you, and trying to be hardcore. But I got my hardcore pick in with Neil Magny when I predicted that in both videos. So Klein can go back to kind of harassing teenagers for cigs outside of a 7-Eleven. Cut this guy from the sport. Not ready for the big leagues. Puliev looked good. I would like to see him against someone with a little more fight in them. But I'm not sure who that is. It was a good win. If I'm moving a little fast versus these prelims, it's because they weren't that exciting. So, you kind of got your fixin' on the main card, and then we can kind of appreciate the graphics and whatever else on these. Austin Bashy versus John Yennis. Man, I don't know why John Yennis was the decision. I'm sure there were other guys that were willing to step up on short notice. He got slimed out, though. Let me tell you that. John Yennis got taken down immediately, got put in the body triangle, and had zero chance. He got rear naked choked. The kid got rear naked choked. It is what it is. Austin Bashy won. I like to see him versus tougher comp. I know it was short notice. At 145, there's definitely a couple of guys outside the rankings. You know what I'd like to see next? Give me Danny Silva versus Austin Bashy. That should be the next fight. Unless Austin Bashy's actually a bantamweight. I believe he's a featherweight, though. Give me Austin Bashy versus Danny Silva. I think that makes sense. Danny Silva can kind of aura farm at range. We'll see if Bashy can keep up with him. And Silva's legit. He has good combos and decent grappling defense, so I think that's the fight to make at 145 next to really test this kid out easy on. I've been fluked by C-Rod. Your grandma's been fluked by C-Rod. Bashy's been fluked by C-Rod. Everyone has, so no shame in that. We're going to just kind of say that's a random thing that happened, and we're going to keep moving. Second to last fight of this card, Estam versus Felipe Bunes. I will say this is not the way I expected him to win a 29-28 decision, but listen, man, we have evolved into the Brazilian Marab. Listen, I had an epiphany about this last night while I was just watching the UFC, being a hardcore fan. Marab, it's okay. You can go now. We have Rafael Estam. We don't need you anymore. Rafael Estam is dog shit. He's not really good at fighting. He doesn't do a lot of striking. It's just kind of like empty wrestling where he has no submission threat whatsoever. I really hope he loses soon. I don't like this style at all. And he gasses, man, bad. So I wouldn't be shocked once he gets to that tougher level of comp that things start to fall apart for him. I think he's gonna have to move up to bantamweight. I think that might be half of his cardio issues is that he's cutting too hard to flyweight, but missed weight by 4 pounds. That should make you move up automatically. Final fight of the night, Piera Rodriguez versus Ketlin Souza, or really the first fight of the night. Piera Rodriguez won, man. It was very close. I expected this to be close. I started on the Souza. I started on the Souza side. I then transitioned, no pun intended, to the Rodriguez side on fight day. And then kind of when the fights came around, I was kind of back on Souza a little bit. It was close. I thought Rodriguez won rounds 1 and 3. Decently clear. One was a little bit of a toss-up, but it was good for Rodriguez. Happy for basic-ass white dudes were talking about how they need Piera Rodriguez in their life. They need a bad Latina in their life. Just unbelievable stuff. Shameful stuff, to be honest. So that is going to do it for the fight recap video. I hope all of you enjoyed so much. It ended up being a pretty fun card. For as much as I hated on it, for as much as other people hated on it, it was a fun card, and I think it was matchup based. We're going to get a similar thing, in my opinion, next week in the Apex, where they're getting a little crafty now with the Apex cards. It's not just dog shit where you know it's going to be decisions. It's dog shit, but like the matchups promote finishes, which I think is what they need to do with all fight nights, in my opinion. And pay-per-views. But it is what it is. I appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you so much for tuning into another video. If you're new, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're old and you've been watching the videos but haven't liked, comment, or subscribed, then do me a favor and do it anyways. So I will see you boys in the next one. My TikTok is at MoneyManzillaMMA. Peace out.